Hello and welcome back to My Career So Far with Kira and Josh. And this week, I'm looking forward to this one. Who have we got this week?
It's Josh's favourite person. It's Andrea Fox.
Yeah, towards the end of it, we go into her continuity because she does continuity for ITV1 and she's done it for various other places. So I quite enjoyed that little talk. And you quite enjoyed the talk about Jack FM.
This is a running theme now with this podcast, is that Jack FM appears all the time. My niche interest, as you've all begun to know.
Yeah, well, if you like impressions of Dolly Parton and the usual discussions, and
you're doing great, then you'll like this one.
It'll make sense in due course. You'll love this one. It's My Career So Far with Andrea Fox.
My Career So Far.
Andrea Fox, hello.
Hi, lovely to meet you both. Thank you very much for having me.
How are you?
I'm very well. I've come from getting up at 4:15 to coming home to my home studio to chat to you guys because unfortunately I'm not going to be in Manchester anytime soon, but I do visit Manchester often because my lovely family live up there. So yeah, very excited to be chatting to you remotely through the wonder of technology.
The wonders of technology and the internet connection that might drop out, it might not. Fingers crossed it doesn't. We'll get on to your career. So what made you fall in love with the radio industry and fall in love with radio?
Oh gosh, I've got a tape somewhere from when I was 4. Yes, a tape of me saying, "This is the news," and then handing over to my little brother who sang Bar Bar Black Sheep, which, I mean, I'm going to have to dig it out so we can use it on Absolute Radio at some point. But I went to uni just outside of Brighton, University of Sussex, which is a brilliant, brilliant city. I grew up in Reading. And I was doing English and media studies and I was just really worried about getting a job. I was like, the job of English doesn't exist. So I went and joined all of the student media, which, as you guys will know, is just so fun. So I was part of the magazines and stuff. And I joined URF, University Radio Falmouth, which I think has just had its 50th birthday, which I missed because I went to see Glenn Moore do comedy. Sorry, URF. And I just loved it. And I learnt so much there, obviously through my degree as well. But I got a job in the local radio station, which was Juice at the time, Brighton's Juice 107.2. By the time I left uni, thanks to all the stuff I was doing in student radio and how much I loved it and how much I learned, that got me a job probably a little bit more than my degree. I mean, you guys will know you have to be so proactive if you want a job in the media industry anyway. And that was my sort of way of being proactive. And I've just loved it ever since, really. And I've done pretty much every job you can think of. So hopefully I've got some useful tidbits for someone who might want to do one of the many jobs I've done in the radio industry and sort of TV voiceover as well.
I was looking, when we were doing our research, apparently you did your dissertation on analog versus digital radio and new technologies, talking about like the shortfalls that radio might have in the digital age. I find that so interesting. Like, did you enjoy putting that together?
It was so easy because I just interviewed my boss at the local radio station who was running like an internet radio station. He knew everything about radio, so that was great. But honestly, that feels like such a relic now. And I've been asked about this so many times and I'm like, where have I put this on the internet? Because I have forgotten where this is on the internet. So you must tell me. Oh, of course. What a fascinating fact to have on my LinkedIn. But yeah, it was just my way of going, I'm going to shoehorn what I love, which is radio, into my dissertation, which is obviously the biggest piece of work you have to do when you're at uni. And I do think now, and I've had this argument with people in the past, that when it comes to sort of the digital landscape that we're in and social media, I think radio and the way that we have cameras in studios, I think was a much more nimble way of sort of being able to cross over into things like podcasts as well, and obviously visual podcasts now, and that sort of social media landscape more than TV. I think TV was a little bit slow on the uptake of that. But we do have, and I remember it was such a mad thing to think about when I was doing my dissertation all those many, many moons ago, like DAB was just becoming a thing. and now we're all streaming our favourite stations through their apps and listening to our favourite shows like on the podcast that they put out every day through this magical little square in our hand that has access to every station on the planet, realistically, some through a VPN. But I honestly, it's going to make me sound so old. I remember a friend going to America and telling me what an iPhone looked like. And my tiny mind was blown. I was like, what do you mean? It's only got one button? How does it work? How does it know when you're typing? Because that was just, it was so modern at the time. I'm going to stop talking as I don't want to sound too old. So that was the whole thing for me. I was just like, how can I shoehorn what I love into my dissertation? So I highly recommend that. If you can do that with your dissertations in any way, shape or form. And then you just get to have a lot more fun when you're doing your dissertation because you actually care about the subject.
See, that's exactly what I've done.
Yeah?
Because we do major projects instead of dissertations, which is the same thing, just like making radio packages. And I'm doing it on sort of the fall and then the re-rise of local radio. So I've managed to shoehorn it in there.
That's brilliant, yeah.
I'm going to enjoy it more.
Yeah, 100%. You're paying all this money, you might as well enjoy it. And it might as well help you get into the field that you want to get into as well. So I'm guessing that you're quite passionate about local radio, which, let's face it, it's had a wild old ride.
So after the whole university life, where did you end up next?
I stayed in Brighton for ages. You guys are in Manchester, very cool city. Brighton, very cool city. And I was really lucky. All of the things I did, I was doing like weekend breakfast all the way through uni. But I mean, what student's got money to go out on a Friday night anyway? We were going out on Wednesday. So that was fine. But it feels like people are always like, oh God, that's such a big thing. You're giving up so much. I didn't really feel like it at the time. By the time I finished my degree, then there was a drive time slot and I got put on drive and I got trained up in news. I got my broadcast journalism qualification, which was so useful. I'm so glad that I did it because looking back, I don't think I would have ever said no at that time. And I do think when you're starting out in your career, just say yes to everything and then work out whether you can do it afterwards. But it's given me so many opportunities, and if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be doing the job that I'm doing now on Absolute Radio, which I absolutely love. But yeah, I was in Brighton for a long time, and probably 3 recessions ago now, I was like, oh, I'd like to move on to the next thing, and I was finding that really difficult, and I was doing a lot of stuff like outside of that myself, like I went and did a stand-up comedy course because I thought maybe that'll help me in presenting, and it did, and I was very lucky then that someone put a demo of mine. I think I'd done a podcast for PRS Music when they were down doing the Great Escape Festival in Brighton. And that was all I had at the time as what we would call now like a radio demo of examples of your work. And my friend had an agency that I worked with at the radio station, and he gave it to ITV because he knew they were looking for continuity announcers. And that was basically how I moved to London. And then I was like, right, well, now I'm in London, all the way from Brighton, it's not that far. I have all these opportunities now to freelance, and I was doing stuff at Bauer Presenting, and I was doing overnight tech hopping on TalkSport, and met all these people. And I just think you meet so many people when you're first starting out, and you never really know who's going to be in rooms you're not in, like mentioning your name for things. So I just think when you're first starting out, it's such a good idea to be like saying yes to everything, trying your hand at everything, and trying to like make sure you keep good like contacts with people, remember who people are, like keep in contact with them, go to the networking stuff if you can. It's all like, it really does pay off. Even if you don't see it pay off in like 6 months, it might pay off in 6 years or 16 years. Like you're a long time working, and it's a small industry, and we like to talk. So that was kind of my career trajectory. And then I've been doing ITV continuity for ages, and you guys will know because I know you've had my lovely friend Matt Richardson on as well. Joe Summerbell was going on maternity leave, and my friend was working at Jack FM in Oxfordshire, RIP. I've 2 stations now I've worked for that don't exist. I feel so old. And I said to my husband, do you mind if I just live in Oxfordshire for 9 months in the week? And he was like, that sounds awful, but fine. And it was really difficult, but we did make it work because I was still doing ITV continuity, which is live and it's in the evenings, and not every day, but then being in Oxfordshire and waking up and doing the show and working with Matt Richardson. And I know you've spoken to him, like we were both enjoyed it so much, but the hours of breakfast radio, they don't work with comedy. They don't work with late night talking to the nation on ITV. So it was driving back and forth from Oxfordshire was quite a struggle, but it was such fun, and it was such a fun station. And it is a shame that we're sort of losing a bit of that personality of those local stations. But it's difficult because it's expensive, and if there's not the listeners there and there's not the money there, and it's the same in linear TV as well, I think we'll miss all these things if and when they go, if they go ever completely. I hope that they don't, but that's sort of the struggle there. So I really enjoyed my time there, but then eventually the bosses decided they were going to sell the transmitter to Bauer, and it kind of worked out pretty well for me, to be honest, because I was staff, so they had to give me a job. And so I went into news, and I was covering Northamptonshire and Oxfordshire remotely from home, working with the reporters on the ground in the counties, and that's how it works at Bauer. And we're such a big news team, and it's so nice now because the opportunity came up then to go and do a chemistry test with the team on Absolute, again because someone I'd worked at Jack was in the room and mentioned my name. It wasn't anything that I applied for or even knew was going on. And then the news bosses said, would you be up for this? And I absolutely jumped at the chance. And yeah, it all worked out. But I feel very lucky to have been given the opportunity and to be working where I am now. Because then doing national news now on a breakfast show, I just get to cherry pick what all of the local teams and reporters are out. I get to cherry pick the best of the news and put it in my bulletin, and that's kind of the best thing that I think you can have really as a national news reader. And it's really nice to be reading nationals, and there's such a difference in thinking about, okay, I'm talking to the whole nation now, rather than being very local and specific. And sometimes they'll have written things, I'm like, this is going to sound so amazing on their local station. I can't rip and read it like that because it won't make any sense because I'm not in Newcastle. So if I'm going so big on, the championship match tonight in Newcastle, it's going to sound very weird in the sports bulletin. But yeah, so that's sort of a bit of a shorthand, all of the things I've done. And when I was back in Brighton, I was, got trained up in news, was head of news, running the small news team there for a while, was head of news at Jack in Oxfordshire, very small news team, and also was head of music as well. So got to do music scheduling as well as all the presenting and all the voiceover stuff that I've done as well. So whenever people are like, I'd really like some advice on, the industry, I'm like, which one? Which job?
You've had all your fingers in all the different pies.
I've had all the pies, mate. All the pies. Tell me which slice of pie you'd like to hear about, and I'll show you my wares. I'll give you all the information I can.
Well, let's start with the continuity pie first.
Yes.
This is going to sound really cliche, but I always love listening to your announcements on ITV, and I just think it's so important to have continuity because it's like signposting, especially with important events like COVID or lockdowns. How does it work, and what work do you go into making an announcement and crafting the story of the nation, say?
Yeah, exactly. And I have to say, they love radio people and continuity because we can talk live. We're across compliance issues and what might not be appropriate to say, and we're used to scripting, and we can do live. So I'll essentially be given, right, you're on tomorrow night. You're starting at this time. The first thing is on the end credit menus, we call them. That's where there's something visual on the end of a show. So there'll be a picture, most likely. There'll be a picture on screen for 10 seconds of this show, and it's on tomorrow at 9, and you have to tease it. I get to write whatever I want. So I'll be given debriefs of the shows. I'll be able to watch the shows ahead of time if they're not live. So I was watching Gone, the new drama that we've got on at the moment with David Morrissey. I was catching up on that so that you make sure that what you're saying isn't giving away too much. People get really annoyed, especially in the soaps, if you give away too much. And often the synopsis is very much so-and-so dies. And I'm like, that's not going to fly into the show. So you've got to sort of, what's a way to tease this out? What could this happen? Will we see? There's another soap wedding coming up. Oh, it's a birthday celebration. I'm sure that's going to go well. So you're kind of given free rein in that, and then idents again point to this show coming up later on, and then point to this, and you've got 18 seconds, but you can never fill the 18 seconds because that would be a hell of a lot of information very, very quickly. So giving idents room to breathe and things like that. And also previewing the end of a show is really important because there might be some big old death, and if you haven't watched it and you're coming off the back and saying something really chirpy, you'd be like, oh no. Whereas if there is something that needs a big pause, maybe we need to drop the end credit menu and just not mention anything. Often it might have been quite a heavy episode. There might be something that they want you to flag to the advice lines if it's something, quite dark and quite serious that might really affect people or might bring up things in their own lives. So that's really important as well. But you mentioned COVID. Like, I love continuity, and streaming's fine. And I think we're all used to wanting to watch and listen to things like now. Like, I remember having to wait for, CDs to be out so you could go and buy it, or taping stuff off the charts. And now everything's streamable, everything's available. We're just used to that now. And that's not going back in the box. But there's so much choice now. And I think we really miss that collective watching a show live. Whether it's your sort of Love Islands and those series that people really get into that are like every night over a certain couple of months. Sport, obviously, big live shows, your X Factors, your Britain's Got Talents, things like that. But COVID, my God. I feel like I did a silly little social media video about this, but it felt like we were always going, just to remind you, this was filmed before COVID. Don't be writing in. We know they're standing close and no one's wearing a mask. And then it got to the point where people were like, why are you reminding us of this? Like, we know. I was like, well, you don't, because your neighbour's texting in. So it felt like that for a very long time. And you still see those we'll have like warnings and things in old shows from when they were filmed. And they're like, do remind people this was filmed during COVID. I was like, it's 2026. I think we can remove these warnings now. We don't need these. But I do love that. And that people are always like, oh, is it live? Do you get to decide what you want to say? And I'm like, yeah, because it is that collective watching. And I know, in radio as well, and Absolute's whole thing is like very much in the moment. People need to be tuning in and hearing something that is live and in the moment that they couldn't hear any other day. And I think sort of reflecting what's going on, you can do that as well in continuity. And obviously the main reason that we're there is in case we have to go to rolling news or any breaking news or anything like that. And I have done quite a few big ones. So Prince Philip dying, the Queen dying, Margaret Thatcher dying, remember her? So I've had, and I quite like doing that, because even if there's not much to do, you're sort of there watching the mechanics of like, okay, we're not going to the chase, so we'll drop that end credit menu. We've got idents for obits and things like that, and scripts will need to be checked, and everyone's like, right, okay, this is big. Everyone's going to be turning the TV on and they're going to be finding this out for the first time. And I think those, and also in news when you have those days as well. It's really big. Like the other day with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's arrest. I stayed late. There's just going to be loads of stuff going on. The Iran war, there's going to be a bit more like all hands on deck whilst we get across these stories and make sure we're doing everything the way that we need to. And it was really nice in continuity on those days when those big news stories broke to be in the booth and sort of a little part of it, I suppose, and seeing how it all worked. So if anyone's ever wondered about continuity, I write it. It's in case anyone big dies. It's not. Those are the two questions I get asked. Yes, it's live most of the time. And in case someone dies, basically, that's why I'm there. Those are the two questions I always get.
Did you actually get people writing in and like emailing and say like, why is they not socially distanced during COVID? Did that actually happen?
Yeah, I mean on Twitter as it was then, but like X now, obviously, people would, you'd see the tweets. I don't tend to check them as much anymore. I tend to just sort of look for like reaction to shows. But when I first started, I've been doing continuity for a long time now, I get really freaked out if people are like, I think this is years ago now, but I feel like someone said that I said Voldemort like I was French. Voldemort. And I was like, I think I did pronounce the T. And my boss would be like, please stop looking. Like, we love, you're doing great. You're doing great, sweetie. Get off the internet. So I think I think everyone in the public eye has a little bit of, not that I'm in the public eye, but who does a job where people can listen to you and critique you. It's you can't help sometimes, but I have done a lot less of that in recent times. But yeah, people went mad for it on X. You can't believe.
How do you deal with the pressure, though, in such a big moment? Like, how do you stay calm when the news comes through and you know that you've got to deliver it or go to rolling news? How do you sort of keep level-headed in that moment?
Stiff drink. No. It's one of those, but you have certain times where, and I think I was probably like this Absolute Radio first bulletin, where I'm like, I feel like everyone's going to hear my heart beating out of my chest. But the thing that I've always thought is it's just a microphone. It's just a microphone. And you can't think about, it's millions of people, because you will freak out. Like just you, and then you're not thinking about the job and you're not concentrating because you're thinking about everybody listening. And it's like, you just do the job well. It's just a microphone. Deep breaths. That's all I can. That's what's worked for me, to be like, it's just another microphone in another studio. I know exactly what I'm going to say. I've rehearsed it. We're off. And then once you turn your mic off, big deep breath, stiff drink.
What's your drink of choice?
Oh, a wine or a margarita. Although I quite like a dirty martini, but not in the booth, obviously. Not when I'm working, really.
A bit of Kylie Rosé, I think.
Yeah, Kylie Rosé, chicken wine. Lovely little chicken wine. What would be your drink of choice? I'm guessing everyone's on the water.
Yeah.
I'm on squash at the moment.
I'm also on squash, actually, yeah.
Apple and blackcurrant, quadruple strength from Tesco.
You're so youthful, you see? Quadruple strength. My God. I worry about having too much milky coffee or tea during the show. Tea will sometimes give you a really, slappy mouth. If that's, what a phrase, clip that, when you're doing voiceovers. So sometimes people will be like, oh, I'll have a cup of tea, I'll have a herbal tea. And I'm like, just have water. Oh, I don't know what it is. It gives you a slappy mouth. And sometimes milk makes me cough. So sometimes lip balm makes me cough. These are the weird things I've learnt about doing voiceover. Like, get that lip balm away from me. I'll have to deal with that later. I'll just have dry lips. Otherwise, I'll be coughing all the way through this voiceover.
No, to be fair, whenever... I know some people that do musical theatre, and they say that you're not meant to have. This is getting sidetracked now, but
no, love it.
Dairy or cheese or milk or something, because it's I don't know what it does, but it messes with your vocal cords.
Phlegmy. You can get a bit phlegmy, I find.
Shall we move on to what is my niche obsession, as I gave away with Matt Richardson, Jack FM.
Yay!
So I sort of became fascinated with Jack in the last 18 months or so before it got eaten up. What was it like to so you came in, as you mentioned, when Joe Somerville went on maternity. What was it like coming into a situation like that when it was quite, how do I wear this? It was quite well known that the station wasn't doing amazingly well at the time. What was it like coming into a situation like that?
Yeah, it can be really difficult. And I think a bit of me was sort of like, well, I'm having a good time. And me and Matt are doing well. And our radars are going up. And you kind of just have to focus on that, really. We did everything we could. We went to all the events that we could and were out in the community as much as possible because we knew that was really important to help the station. And I wouldn't say, maybe the sales team would say different. I wouldn't say that there was a bad atmosphere, but that's probably easy for me to say because, I'm really pally with Joe, and I was pally with the sales team, and I didn't really engage that much with the owners. And I'm friends with Steve Sims, who was the program manager at the time, and I got on really well with Matt. So it was just that was all great, and everything else was kind of outside of our hands. But it was, I think, the hardest thing for me and Matt was the last show that we did, because we both said off air, and we probably said it on air as well, that we felt like slight frauds because it had all this history that we were so aware of, and we're like, oh, I'm really sorry we couldn't save it for you, and all these people that have loved it through the years, and we've just been here for 5 seconds, and we have to be the ones to turn the big switch off, you know what I mean? It felt a bit like, oh, it's not our job to do this. We're not, so we felt a bit like, oh, it's such a shame, really, just such a shame. But I think it is the way of the land in local radio, and I really, really hope that there aren't changes coming down the line in terms of cutting back on news, because I think that is the thing that we keep. You know, we have all these local hubs and all these people working in news, working so hard, and delivering, you know, the best they can for those local communities. Yeah, it's not the presenters that you used to know and love, and they're not presenting from down the road anymore, and you can't pop in and get a sticker or a mug. But those things, you know, having those individual sales teams and having those individual offices and all, it's really expensive, and people just aren't listening in the same way that they used to. And I think that's a shame, but radio is still, despite it all, doing well. And so I think if you really love local radio and you miss it, there's little stations popping up where the big ones have moved out, internet stations locally, and I can only speak for Bauer. I've never worked at Global. I can only speak for Bauer and the BBC as well. You know, local teams producing local content up and down the country. So I guess engaging with them and listening, really, and that's how you, like I've said before, I think if those things were to disappear, I think we'd really miss them. And so if you feel strongly about that, I think listening and loving your local, you know, tune into your local news feed of the big station that you're listening to. And I think that's all we can really do, really. But yeah, it was sad, and we were all very sad about it, but there was nothing we could really do. The decision was made. And me and Matt Richardson were a bit like, I think we might die if we carry on doing these hours. So maybe we should stop.
For your mental health's sake.
Just to get some more sleep. Never mind the mental health, my physical health.
But you and Matt were great. Like, you were
Thank
brilliant
you.
together, and you shouldn't feel like a fraud for being the last people.
I just felt awkward. We were like, oh gosh, like, I'm so sorry it's us, guys. But yeah, thank you. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it, because we really loved it, and he's fantastic on radio. I know he's a big comedy TikTok boy now, but
Another great question.
But yeah, exactly. He should be back. He should be back on radio, and yeah, I'd love to work with him again. He's fantastic, and I'm just so glad that we've become good friends. You know, you can work with so many people in this industry, and you're like great colleagues, and it's really nice then when people become friends as well.
And then when Jack went, you then, like you said, moved into Bauer's news team. Did you and Joe interact at Jack at all, or is that when your relationship started, as in Joe Somerville?
Yeah, I didn't know Joe before I went in to do my interview at all. And yeah, I've been to Joe's wedding, I've been to Matt's wedding. Like, I will beg friend you if we work together. I will make you my friend. I know he called me a golden retriever, and yeah, I am a bit like that. I'm like, hi. It's just such a fun job, and it's just such a lovely industry. So why would you not? And Joe's fantastic. She's so level-headed and cool, and I work with her now, and I've worked with her like on a day-to-day basis up until quite recently with the move to Absolute in November. And I still like chat to her on Teams every day and see her when she comes into the Lantern. But yeah, she's fab. And yeah, like, I suppose it was so awkward for her as well, because she'd been at the station for so long, and it was shutting when she was on maternity leave. So it was so awkward for her to be like, ugh, how am I like onboarding for this new company and like saying goodbye to the old company? But yeah, I mean, she's very headed and cool and calm about everything, so I'm sure she wasn't flapped about it at all. I thought it was a shame for her. But yeah, I love Jo Somerville, and yeah, she's news gathering ed for the Hub South and East team in Bauer News. So yeah, love that I still get to work with her. But yeah, I hadn't really engaged with anyone in terms of Bauer News outside of that really until I joined, and it's a huge team and everyone is very nice, especially when I put the wrong thing in the Teams chat. Oh, sorry. Sorry, that wasn't meant for you. That's for the other group. But yeah, it's fantastic. Jo's great. If you want to get her on, I'll give her. You probably got her email, but I'll give her your email.
Well, funny you say that. My partner used to work with you before you moved to Absolute, because my partner's Adam Clark. And he used to...
He used to tell me that I sound like the Queen, I feel like.
Did you?
Yeah. Was that Adam? Anyway, yeah, and I was like, I'm just from the south. But yes, well, say hello. Oh, fantastic.
I'll pass on the message now.
Yeah. God, he'll be like, no, I didn't say that. I'll be like, oh, sorry, my memory's gone. I'm getting old. I remember tapes. No, isn't that a funny world though, isn't it? Like, such a small world. It just goes to show it's such a small industry. So yeah, it's always nice to like be like, oh, hi, yeah. We've got a friend in common. I mean, that's what I did as soon as I walked into Jack. I think this is probably also why I got the job. I did a stand-up comedy course years ago with Angela Barnes, and I then went to Edinburgh to see her, and it was the year she was doing the double header with Matt Richardson. And so when I went into the interview, I was like, oh, hey, you might not remember me, but like we met years ago and I know Angela. So it's always helpful when you go into an interview like that. Just pro tip. I did the same at Absolute. I walked in and Glenn Moore, who was the sports newsreader and obviously a fantastic comedian, I sort of walked in and went, oh, hi, Matt Richardson says hello. Like these things help. People want to work with nice people and people that their friends like as well. It's handy.
Well, this was the thing, because when I knew he'd got work at Bauer and the Jack FM obsessed head that I was, the fact that he was working with you and Joe was every day.
You're fangirling.
Yeah, every day you talk to you, I'm like, so how are they? Just, are they okay?
Like my parents.
Oh my God, I love that. I love it. And Jack, I mean, I just love Jack. And I think Absolute's quite similar. Like the whole comedian jokes in between the songs, like it's a very sort of irreverent, like doesn't take itself too serious sort of vibe. So I think it's been quite a nice fit. To move over from Jack previously via all other Bauer's other stations to Absolute. So yeah. I
was also going to mention, do you know Matt Hallsworth?
I work every day with Matt Hallsworth. You know Matt Hallsworth?
Yeah, we're really good friends with him. He's ex-Shock, so...
Oh, he did mention this to me. Yes, Matt Hallsworth is a fantastic producer. He has been stepping in on The Breakfast Show, and he sits next to me every morning because I don't know if you know, but Absolute Radio, the sports and news readers are in a separate room through the glass from Dave Berry, Matt Dyson. Oh, so fantastic. They're both so funny. And the two other producers, Mark Lockett and Dave Murphy. It's too many Matts and too many Daves. So yeah, we just have a laugh. He's with us for a little bit longer, but I think then he's going to go back to normal hours, unfortunately for me, but not unfortunately for him. And I keep doing little videos of us singing. Because we both just end up singing along to the tunes on Absolute Radio. And obviously we're listening to Main Channel. If you don't know, you can listen via all the decades to the same shows at breakfast and at drive on Absolute. And I might as well plug the no repeat guarantee whilst I'm here throughout the day. You won't hear another song twice. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do a little reel if he leaves us, because I remember in my very first job being told off for singing and enjoying the music in the station in the studio, and I was like, I'm not belting it out like Mariah, I'm just humming along. So yeah, that's our funny little moments. And Matt's great, and obviously if you haven't heard of Matt Hallsworth, he's done some shows, hasn't he, on Radio 1, and he's a fantastic producer. He's really, really good. He's really on it, and when things break, he knows what's going on and I don't. They don't break often, I should say.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Apart from the one day when the news bed was playing out for some reason all over a song, and we were like, where is that coming from? Absolute 60s for some reason. Doesn't even exist. Don't know why it was playing out. There we go. There's something I probably shouldn't have told you.
I find it really interesting as an aside that you can listen, like you said, to any of the decades, like 60s up to 20s now, and it be the same show and different music. Like, I know it's quite technical, and I've read into how they do it, but I find that so clever.
I remember reading about it when it was first in like Radio Today. Maybe I was at Bauer at the time because I did some shows at Heat Radio where pop music matters, and now I'm where real music matters. And yeah, it blows my tiny mind. I don't really know how it works, but I love it. And it's great. And when we do this competition every day called 5 Words, 5 Grand, we give the caller 5 words. And then if we can match their 5 words, we step outside of the room so we can't hear. Then they win 5 grand. It is so hard. But Dave always introduces people by saying like they listen to us on country, they listen to us on main chat, and it's just, again, we're going back to that thing of people want what they want now. So if people want to listen to those songs, give them the opportunity to do that and listen to, you know, the big talent at the same time, rather than having to, I don't know, catch up on a podcast, but listen to all the songs that they like. I suppose that's what they were doing before. So yeah, but yeah, technically blows my mind. I'm not very good with stuff like that. I'm a bit like, why isn't it working? No, with my own equipment, obviously I'm not smashing things up in the studio, but I'm just not very like technically minded.
What is it like working with Dave Berry?
He is so well turned out every morning. He's so lovely. I remember when I first went in for my chemistry test, and I know that they did see other people. And he was just like, thank you. So he was looking deep into my eyes, shaking my hand and being like, thank you so much for coming in. And I was like, of course. I was like, oh, yeah, no, of course. I'm so happy to be here. But I was like, are you thanking me? This is a dream job. Of course I'm fucking coming in, Dave. Like, who's saying no to this? Or work from home in my cupboard? No, of course I'm coming in to do this. So yeah, and he's lovely, and he's really generous as well. He's just so. Both him and Matt Dyson, they're just so confident in their abilities and their skills and their relationship, and they've worked together for years, that it's really nice when they sort of let you have the joke, or let you have, you know, so often we name the show every day, and it's always lovely if like one of my silly things that I said is the name of the show. And yeah, they're just, whenever we recently did, I tried to do some impressions. I failed to do some impressions. My Dolly Parton was a particular highlight / low light. Highlight for the team, low light for me. And yeah, Dave's just like, when he's like, that was really, really good. He's so generous and good at like letting you know that was great, and he really appreciates it, because it's not everyone is happy to, you know, read the news and talk about Iran and then make themselves sound a bit silly. But we need the light and shade in life, and I think doing that doesn't take away from how important I see the other stuff. And he's really good at knowing when the news is heavy and it's not a day to like bring me in lots, or that's not an appropriate thing to do, because he's just so experienced in it. So yeah, Dave's great. He gave me a Christmas present as well. That's something else I probably shouldn't tell you. And I said to Glenn, do I have to get him a Christmas present back? And Glenn was like, no. He's the star.
Can we hear this Dolly Parton impression, just out of curiosity?
So, just to give you some context, for some unknown reason, we'd been bullying Matt Dyson the day before into doing a Donald Duck impression, because I'd done a terrible Donald Duck. It was about as much as I got. And that we were like, go on, do it. And then Matt Dyson went, no, but I'll give you my Mickey Mouse. Hi, I'm Mickey. Come to my fun house. And we were like, what? And so, because I was just doing impressions and I was trying to think of like a quick script as well for all these people that they were throwing at me. And I thought, hi, I'm Dolly Parton. Welcome to my fun house. Yeah, it's right. See. So the best. Matt Holsworth told me, because I don't get to see the texts because I'm too busy looking at the newswires. But Matt said someone from Derry just nearly crashed their car because of your impressions. And I was like, I'm glad they didn't, but good to know that they're enjoying it. So it's the texts are so good. We get such a good response. Listeners just, every day we come up with like a silly idea. Like yesterday I said I was never allowed computer games when I was a kid. And so today we were just doing a text on like, what were you not allowed as a kid? What did your parents not let? It's just so amazing. Like the things that people call in and shared about their lives. I just love it. It is so fun. And the listeners just make it so fun every single day. And the team do as well, obviously. So yeah. But yeah, that was my Dolly Parton impression.
I'm trying to think if me or Kira can do any impressions.
Yes, do some impressions.
I put you on the spot again, sorry.
Do it.
No.
This is really, really niche. Do you know Cheryl Cole and Tracy Cohen, where it's like, I'm ready. Okay, Pep, whenever you're ready, I'm ready. You said there was some determination. I'm ready. Okay, whenever you're ready.
It's so niche, but I love it. I love that guy that does impressions on TikTok, and he's just, hiya, I'm Cheryl. And just going about his life and like on holiday, and they're like, he's just acting like Cheryl Cole. They didn't ask me to do Cheryl Cole. I think that was probably better than my Dolly Parton. But
I
yeah,
reckon that would have been a good
kid's
shout.
very funny. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cheryl Cole. How does that fly with the Absolute Radio audience?
Maybe on Absolute Country.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, that's obviously why they got Dolly in. Bless. I love how Kira's still got away with no impression.
Yeah.
No, I'm...
Got one?
No.
No?
No, I don't think I actually
Ant and
do
Dec
any. No, you do the Ant
Right,
and
I
Dec
bet.
one.
No, it's Ant and Dec, but it's the caricature on the Keith Lemon show.
Oh, God, yeah.
You don't have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it. You're doing great. You're doing great.
I love Ant and Dec. I love them.
Hear the stuff we come out with before we do a radio show. The Cheryl Cole one comes out, and the You Don't Have to Do It one comes out as well.
Oh, it reminds me of that guy who's, again, that brilliant guy, funny guy on social media whose name I can't remember. And he just does, like, if you and your friends only converse through, like, memes and things like that. And it's like, God, we're all like that, aren't we? Every friend group, every, like, relationship, we've all got those, like, silly impressions that you're just like, this would make no sense to anyone else.
What's
Right.
the current one in ours? Is it the it's the Absolute Cinema meme where there's like the guy's got his hands up in like a cinema room, and the
I'll get it up. Hang
text
on.
of cinema has changed multiple times. So now there's one for Absolute Radio where it's the Absolute Radio logo.
So
over
this is
guy's
the
face.
original. Wait, hang on. Yeah, this is the original one.
And then
let me
we
find
have
the
one
one
where
that
the
I did.
Absolute Radio logo's over the guy's face and it says Absolute Radio.
Where is it?
Where is it?
You know who that guy is? Go.
And then this
I don't know.
Oh, that's Martin Scorsese. I think we say Scorsese. I think it's Martin Scorsese. So that makes sense. Why he's doing that, I don't know.
I don't know what
Put
the
him up,
context behind the
Martin.
image is.
Put him up. Oh, how funny. How funny. I know. Everyone's the same. Everyone's the
Yeah.
same. That's why, like, catchphrases, it's why, you know, Dave Berry, when someone says something funny, just rings the bell. And then when we're repeating them at the end of the show, I'm like, God, I forgot we said that. That's so funny. It's often, pretty much always something that Matt Dyson has said, because he's hilarious. And he's just, he's so knowledgeable about radio. He's brilliant.
But I think it goes back to having that like good rapport with your team and like you were saying with the chemistry test, if everyone's getting along nicely, then it just makes it like a nicer listening experience for like the listeners, but also like a nicer work experience for the people that work on it.
Yeah, 100%. And knowing when to jump in and when, I've got a bit here, but it might slightly derail it, you know, and we're over this hour. So let's wrap it up. So all of that just comes with experience and comes with like, I'm lucky, like I'm stepping in and I'm still like finding my feet. You know, Emma Jones was there for 8 years, Glenn Moore as well. So I remember saying to Glenn, like, I don't want to cut over anyone. And Glenn went, just keep talking, everyone will shut up. If you've got something to say, just keep talking. I was like, okay. I don't think it's going to be as funny as you, Glenn. I haven't been on Mock the Week.
They've brought it back now. It's on TLC.
I know. I have only watched Glenn's bits on Glenn's social media. There we go. I'm saying, like, if you love TV, watch it. I haven't watched the full episode yet,
I'll
which
watch
is really
it when
bad.
it comes out in about 50 parts on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a millennial. I watch tiny little clips on my phone. No, I will go and watch it because I need to catch up on it. And I know Angela Barnes is on there as well, and she's also my friend. So, and also on Absolute. So yeah, I do want to go and catch up because I think it's brilliant that it's been picked up. But I know Matt talked about this, and it's just expensive to make. Certain telly is expensive to make. When you see people going on holiday or like building a holiday home with their friend or taking their dad on trips, that's cheap telly. Panel shows, not so cheap, unfortunately.
Well, you've had a really lovely career and a really interesting one with
It's
lots
going
of different...
lovely, I have to say. Even I will admit that at this stage. It was a bit rocky there a few times, can't lie, but I do think it's going lovely at the moment.
But if you could go back to the beginning of it all and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be and why?
Oh, it's so funny because I really felt quite stuck a few points in my career and wasn't really sure like where I was progressing to and what I was working towards. And I think that's quite difficult. So I think I'd probably just say, don't worry, like it's all going to work out in the end. Just keep saying yes to things and keep building contacts and building knowledge and building experience, because sometimes things don't happen quickly and they don't happen as quickly as you want them to. And the industry changes and the opportunities aren't the same as they were for the people that you've been sort of asking for advice from. So yeah, and maybe start a pension a bit earlier.
Well, before we wrap this up, this is going to be really cheeky, but is there any chance that you could do...
I'll sign an autograph.
Because this has always been my dream. Could you do like a special continuity announcement for us on My Career So Far?
Yes. What would you like me to say? What shall I do? Is there what shows would you... look, I've got a standard one I'll do, and then if there are any shows, you let me know. But this is the one that when people go, do a bit of continuity, this is what I tend to say. Now on ITV1 with strong language, adult themes and scenes some younger viewers may find frightening. It's Loose Women. I love Loose Women. I love them. They're off at the moment because it's Cheltenham Festival, so they're having a nice break. So hopefully they don't listen to this. But yeah, that's the one that always gets a laugh. That's why I always do it. Come up with something unexpected. But yeah, what's your favourite shows then? What's your favourite like continuity that you've heard? Because Channel 4 used to do some great ones into Simpsons. I think they were Channel 4 gets to do loads of fun stuff, and ITV2. I have to play it a bit more straight on ITV1.
I don't know if you can genuinely top that Loose Women one.
Okay, no. Good.
Oh, I think that's a brilliant way to wrap
there
this
we
up.
Go.
With the Loose Women.
We can finish on Loose Women. Did you think that's where we'd end up when we started this conversation?
No. But that's what I love about the podcast. You'll start on like going to uni and then you'll end on the Loose Women, and that'll be a normal podcast episode.
That's also my life and career.
Well, perfect. Andrea Fox, thank you very much for coming on My Career So Far.
Thank you so much, both. This has been lovely.